Alright, picking up where we left off yesterday, this is the sword pack strike weapon set for 172 Mecha Warrior. And if the launcher set made you feel like you got your money's worth due to the weight of the die-cast pieces, this set makes you feel like you got your money worth due to the sheer number of pieces. Because this set has two trays. Tray with effects parts, and the tray with all of the other parts. And again, these are all nicely clipped inside. I don't know why I find that so appealing, but I do. But because it will make a ton of noise if I pull them all out on camera, I will cut here and remove them. Alright, I guess the first thing to note about this set is that it comes with two swords. And they're identical. There is a beam effect part for the standard, what's it called, chip cutter mode that this sword is. And again, it's huge. You can see the figure over there. It's massive. Well, because it's got two swords, it comes with two of everything for it. Two of these beam accessory parts. There's also two of the little one that goes in the pommel of the sword. They've got these nice long tabs so they go in and they're not going to just fall out. And that's great. Because there's two of them, they include these handy dandy gimmick where you can slide the grip out and plug a new one in. To both swords. And now you have a double beam sword staff. I mean, this is extremely excessively long. I mean, if it was already big before, it's, geez, I think it might be 20 or 22 inches long, like this. So I'm never going to display it like this because I don't have space for that. It takes up a whole shelf all by itself. But it's neat. I don't know if it really matters, but or if you'll even be able to see it. There's a little bit of paint rub on the hilt thing where it slides into the sword. Not a big deal, I don't think. Come on, I can't tell. It's focusing. The background's too busy. It also has this neat thing, which this is where the die cast is in this particular set. This handle extends quite a bit. And then it feels severely off balance because this is very heavy and this is not. But with this, you can slide the swords right inside it, and it feels a little scary, like you're going to scrape the paint. But it hasn't so far. But it feels like, honestly, like that's a possibility when you get it in right. You also use this neat beam effect, which, I don't know, something about it being just almost a square chunk, I find it very attractive. Plug that in there, grab the other sword, remove this effect part. Come on, all three of you have to let go at once. Again, slide this in. And now you've got, I'm sure they have some fancy cool name for it. I'm going to call it Giant Beam Sword 2. And that's what these massive effect parts are for. And they clip in the same way as the other ones do, in the same places. And clip in very snugly. It's great. I should be better at vamping during these sorts of things. I've done something wrong because they don't line up. There we go. That sword wasn't in all the way. And then they plug together. And now you have extra giant, big-ass beam saber ship cutter sword. If you thought the ship cutter swords were huge before, you won't be able to collapse this handle because the track that it slides in on is part of where the swords plug together. So what I wanted to show you was how big just the sword part of it was next to Mecha Warrior. Let's scroll up a little bit. And of course, as with all things in this set, it's gigantic. And it looks cool, it looks scary and dangerous. There is this little bit which plugs into the back of this figure and connects to this thing somewhere up here. I guess I might have to look at the directions again to see exactly how it goes, but I do know that it is meant to, oh, just like that maybe. And it's meant to be a back mount, so you can, let's do it. There you go. So you can mount the giant sword on his back without the backpack, and there's room, there's a channel in there so that the wire still fits in. Oh, let's turn the lights on. Click. So anyway, that's a thing. And I don't know that I'll display it like this because, again, I don't have the space for him to hold this giant sword up in the air, probably, and I wouldn't want to have a sword as gorgeous as that just hanging on his back. But it's a neat mode. I kind of like it. Let's see if I can get it off without breaking anything. Before we get to the backpack, here's the arm thingy, shield, claw. This rotates. The claw opens, and I can't focus. Let me readjust. Alright, so the shield thing, the claws can open a little bit if it's straight, because there's a channel there. If you turn it more, then you can open it more. The reason it turns is because it is removable on that peg. And there is this really heavier bendy wire than I expected. It's got a nice, I think it's got actually a metal, I think it's a spiraled metal spring. So it's got quite the weight to it, and the strength to it, I guess, would probably be a better term there. Again, it's going to stay where you put it, as with all of these accessories. The joints are all smooth, but very snug. You can mount it by the little hole under his arm. I guess I can just move him into the center of the frame. So it's on an articulated joint that it can swivel at where it joins on the elbow. It can swivel there, and it can fold up. There, now he's got a grasping claw that can, I don't know what he uses it for. Reaching things that are far away on the table across from him, something like that. The shoulder piece has the articulated shoulder shield. I don't know what this is called, but it looks like a shield to me, kind of. It's nicely detailed. even inside. There we go. And just the paint is great on this thing. Come on, focus on the thing in front of you. There we go. Nice little details. I like the two or three different blues on there. It looks great. Fantastic. Nicely detailed. The boomerang hilt comes off somehow. Oh, it's very tight. And of course there is a beam effect for it. So you can have his beam boomerang. Actually really like the sculpt and detail on this. I notice now that there's a little groove there on both sides. Likewise on this hilt, there's a groove there. And on the hilts for the sword, there are grooves. And those should be, the instructions don't quite tell me that, but those should be for that tab there that's in his hand, so that he would be able to, so they'll plug into his hand and stay firmly in place. And there we have Mecha Warrior holding the beam boomerang, one of the swords, unsupported, just so you know I'm not cheating. These joints are all just so stiff that I think pretty much without exception it will hold any joint you put it in where you want it. The grooves definitely do help the sword stay in. If you can see, I've actually missed with the fingers there. Instead of curling them around the hilt, I'm curling them in front of the hilt. So it's definitely staying in place because of the groove. And I was going to try and angle his hand, but there we go. Yeah, there might be some positions where the joints won't quite hold up because gravity and reality, but for the most part this thing is going to stay where you put it. There we go. Anyway, what else have we got here? There is a little backpack. And much more so than the backpack that came with the launcher set, I love the look of this one. I don't know why these vertical bits, I like them. There's more silver paint on it, nice little bit of red, again with the gold color. These are movable because they're on a simple peg. This one's much more snugger. And like the launcher set, these are ambidextrous, so you can, let's fix the focus, you can pull them off and swap sides if you want. I don't know which side they're supposed to be on, but you get to decide. It looks like there's some sort of clear plastic right there in those pieces, but I can't get the light to reflect off it so you can see them. Because there are two swords. Well, before that, let's see. There's this piece that you connect to this, and wow, that is snug. Oof, that was tight before they painted it, I think, and then they painted it and made it a little tighter than it was spec'd for. That's kind of scary. Alright, got it on. It's very tight. It does not want to turn. I would have to put quite a bit of force on it to get it to turn. It doesn't feel like it'll break, just that the tolerance is so tight, and with the paint layer on each one, it's super, super tight. So what this is for, of course, is to hold the sword. And you do that by taking the sword and flipping out this little black piece, which now it doesn't want to come out. There we go. and that tab slides into that, or that slot ties into these tabs. And you'll see there's two tracks, because you can store both of these swords on his back at the same time. Because if they're going to give you two swords, it's good of them to make sure that it can hold both of them. But suppose, I'm pretty sure canonically there's only supposed to be one, so suppose you only want to display one. Can you see what I can see? Just pops off, boom. One sword holder. And it just plugs in top over the cable there. It's not going in all the way because it's tight. There, holds the sword. And because two is better than one, let's get both of them on here. And just like that, there are two swords mounted on his backpack. That looks cool. It also comes with a further accessory. You pull this one off. But you know what, I'm pretty sure this is not plugged in tightly, so I'll just... Ooh, that wasn't connected all the way either. These things do slide together and should click into place so they hold more. I kind of don't like these little... these connectors, the part that's in the sword, because these are the loose joints. I'm just lightly tapping that, or... maybe it is good to have them just hang straight down, but I kind of don't like it. Anyway, with this piece, you plug this over here, and then the armature from the launcher. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna have to crawl under a desk. So you slide that adapter on, and then you can take the armature from the launcher set and plug in this tiny little peg into it, so that your Mecha Warrior backpack can hold both, straighten you out, both the sword and gun, if you so desire, which is probably how I will display it, at least for a while. It's definitely counterbalanced. I like this backpack a little bit more than this one, but both backpacks should support storing both weapon sets. And again, because of the ambidexterity, and yes, I know that's not exactly what that word means, but you probably know what I mean, right? Because this can be flipped over to the other side, you can buy a second set of these swords and have another set of them hanging off here, and you can have 4 swords. And honestly, I am tempted to maybe pick up another set and do that, because I like swords more than guns, and more swords is better. He could be holding 2 of the giant things, like with these, you know. I took them apart for that, but he could hold 2 of them, 1 in each hand, and it's ridiculous and unrealistic, and it would be awesome. Unlike the launcher set, where I don't even know what this piece is called, but whatever this thing is, where this one clips in on top of this one, you know, after you remove that little piece, the sword pack's shoulder thing actually replaces this one. The arm just slides off. Slide that through the arm, slide it back in place, and then he's wearing this thingy. Here, let's do it. Alright, here he is in all of his sword glory. This backpack, more than the other two, the launcher backpack and the AO pack backpack, doesn't seem to work with the cable. I found that with this plugged in, it kept pushing the backpack out. Like I don't know if it was supposed to go in farther, and I just could not get it to go in all the way to connect, or if this was, or if it doesn't clip in, and so it was just pushing against that and it was pushing it out. So that's a little bit disappointing, and might mean that I'll have to use the launcher backpack when I want to have the swords on his back. But honestly, I have a problem with this guy, because when he came with an ale pack, and now he's got the sword and launcher pack. How do I don't remember seeing in the instructions now. Granted, I've only looked at them each once. But I don't think there was any way to connect the sword armature or the launcher armature to the ale pack. So I can do these two, or the ale pack, not both. So I kind of need another one. But that's not happening. I don't have money for a second one or the space. But I still might buy a second one of these, because I like the idea of the, you can put, you know, one on each side, shield on each side, swords on each side, fully symmetrical, which could look pretty cool. Before I get to the last thing I wanted to show you, there's one accessory I missed, which allows you to connect the big giant sword mode to the backpack. It doesn't show a picture of that, probably, because I guess it holds it, it's an elbow, so it would hold it sideways behind his back. So anyway, that's an option. Alright, and here is Mecha Warrior kitted out with both the sword and launcher pack, and it looks cool, but it definitely you start running into clearance issues. You know, this shoulder can run into the gun back here. This thing sticks out a bit in the back, and so you're definitely running into the sword holder. Watch it. I don't know if you can see that back there, but I mean, it's running into to this thing that you can't see. It's running into this, so you can't pull his arm back all the way. And maybe you can wiggle this out of the way more, because actually that did work, because the adapter that you can't see in there that attaches this bit from the sword kit to the backpack from the launcher set, the posts are off center, like this. So by rotating it, I was able to move this arm thing back just a little bit, which does let the butterfly joints move back more. So that was a user error. Nothing more. But now this thing is so heavy and unwieldy, more than ever. And the stand is not quite tough enough, is what I want to say. Where's the stupid lock? There it is. It doesn't have enough teeth, so I can never get it quite at the angle I want it to be at. And the pin that slides in to lock the teeth in place kind of tends to wiggle its way free. I don't know if I have this connected quite right. That's why it's a little saggy. But anyway, there we go. Too much talking. The sword pack and launcher pack, the part of the Poison Toys strike weapon set for 172 strike, which is what they're calling this now, although when it was released it was Mecha Warrior. I highly recommend them, particularly the sword set. It definitely feels like it's worth the money. It has so many pieces, it's so big. I like swords, 2 swords for the price of 1. Seriously, I am very tempted to try and pick up a second sword set someday and have this guy double kitted out with swords. But I highly recommend these Poison Toys figures. There is a hurricane is the name of the figure that is up for pre-order right now. It is a take on Buster Gundam from Gundam Seed. And I placed a pre-order for it a couple of days ago, and I cannot wait. I think it's going to be even, a little bit bigger and definitely beefier than this guy. Super, super worth it if you have the space. They're really not expensive for how big they are and what you get. Oh, here, look, I've got a master grade, not a master grade. I have a 1/100 scale metal build figure right here, and this guy is easily 3 times the plastic, 3 times the metal. The build quality is just as good. The paint quality is just as good. I do intend to go make a standalone review of this guy, so I should go back to talking about the accessory set. It's fantastic. They are fantastic. Again, I prefer the swords. Definitely pick them up if you've got this guy. If you can get this guy for, honestly, he's worth $250. I mean, I would hate to tell you to pay that much for him because I didn't have to pay that much for him. But as far as I know, he's done. I don't know if they're going to ever reissue him, so if you can get him for that, it might be worth picking him up. Or pick up the Hurricane one that comes out soon. Anyway, thanks for watching this rambling look at these figures. I was really excited to get them, play with them on camera for the first time. I won't say like, comment, and subscribe, but if you wanted to, I'd appreciate it. Alright, thanks.